Just to let you know, you two girls are muted still, if you wanted to be speaking. Okay, all right. Hello, welcome everyone. I'm very excited to see all of you here. My name is Julia. My name sign is like this. I am the ASL Club president here and a tutor. I am so excited. Sorry. For Josh Castille. He is my favorite actor. And I'm so excited to have him here. So thank you all for coming. And now I'm going to turn the time over to our teacher, and he'll explain a little bit. Thank you. Thank you, ASL Club President. Also, I want to thank our interpreter today. And one moment. So first, I'm going to head and turn the time over to Josh Castille and let him introduce himself. When he has done that, we will open up the time for questions from club members and students. And Josh will be happy to answer. And if you are comfortable doing your question in sign, that's fine. Just raise your hand. However, if you prefer to type your question in the chat, then Josh says he is willing to read questions from the chat window, and he can choose which ones he wishes to answer. All right, we'll go ahead now and turn the time over to Josh. And before I do that, I had one question. Can you clarify your name sign for us? Let me change the video so that it's highlighting you. There we go. Hi. Yes. Okay. So my name is Josh, J-O-S-H, and I do 9 to 5, like my hair. It goes
kind of, not really.
9 shape to the 5 shape. And my pronouns are he, him. I am 27 years old, and I grew up in Louisiana. This is the name sign for that. This is the sign for that state, Louisiana. And I have been involved in theater. I was involved in the show Spring Awakening. I also now am working with the Deaf West News Stories. Radio and deaf/hard of hearing people sometimes get a little confused about what that means.
Over here.
Deaf people can include a spectrum of people who also identify as hard of hearing. So I grew up with 3 identities, with 3 siblings. I am the baby. I had an older brother and a sister. And I grew up going to a regular public school, and I was involved in theater in my public school classes. After I graduated, I went to Gallaudet for a year, and then was involved in the Spring Awakening show. And I just am so grateful. I'm excited that you invited me here and that I get an opportunity to meet you, especially people who can hear or are interested in learning sign language. I love to see those 2 worlds come together. So thank you. I appreciate it. So I like, interacting with people. So feel free to get right up here into the screen, and let me see your face. I don't mind that. Go right ahead. Come on in. So if you would like, to type your question in the chat. I'm happy to answer that way as well. We can just play around with it. So thank you. And now, if you have questions, let's see if I'm doing that right. Is that right? Okay, great, Josh. Please put your hand up, and I will keep my eye out for hands coming up. And then also we can ask questions in the chat. So.
You like cat or dog? Yes, dog.
So cats or dogs?
Yes.
Well, you know, that's a pretty argumentative question. Can have a very hard answer. Thank you, Taylor. I don't own any pets right now. I grew up on a farm and I took care of animals. Oh my goodness, all growing up, sheep, goats, cows. So at this point in my life, I'm done with that. But if I had to pick one animal, a cat or a dog, I guess I'd pick a cat because they're less feeding, less work. You feed them and you can just let them go on their merry way by themselves. So I want to ask Taylor a question. So I've said my answer. What about you? Do you like cats or dogs? Oh, cute. Yeah, that looks a little bit like Grumpy Cat. This is Mama Cat. Yes, this is the sign for Mama. Yes. Oh, very cute. Very cute. Oh, wow. Lots of questions now. Woo, we've exploded. Yeah. This is Fred. Do you want me to just pick a couple questions for you to answer? Let me see. How about?
Tell you what, you wouldn't have got a word out of me. Greatest night in the history of television.
Okay, I was reading through them. I see that we have one question. Is it a challenge when you are doing acting to songs, to music? Is it a challenge to synchronize how the voice is being produced to how the signs are being produced? That's an interesting question. I think, you know, growing up in my family, we were very, had a very strong community and identity. You know, we were always together. We always understood each other. And that kind of communal identity has really helped my perspective as an artist. Sometimes people would say, oh, this sounds like this, or this looks like this, and so it must mean this. And so it's a challenge sometimes to reflect that. And my goal as an actor is to always work together and to find a way that we collaborate on the meaning and we create shared meaning. I love that because I'm able to put something out there that creates a story that's not only a story, but a deaf-friendly story. And it shows my experience and my feelings. And when that matches with what's going on in the music, that's just amazing. So I usually read through the score completely. Let me see. I think I have one. Just a moment. Hold on.
Oh.
Yes, yes. So here's a score. And this score is actually written in German, which means it has to be translated into English and then translated into ASL. So here you go. You can see the red line, the red words are the English words. So I read through the score, and you know, sometimes I look at, you know, the time allowed for each phrase, and I want to make sure that it's accessible for everyone. I want to be able to see exactly where the words are coming, and so then I add my American Sign Language translation onto the score. So as you can see down below, I've added some English glosses that help remind me of the words and the concepts that I want to include at what point I want them to come in the music. So for example, it's impossible to explain, you know, my sufferings. Do I want to do that really fast, or do I want to, you know, elongate it? How is it that I want to show that emotion through the signs? And then the singer frequently will listen to music in their cars. And excuse me, the interpreter misspoke. So I'll have the singer make a tape that I put in my car, and I listen to it very loud so I can feel the vibrations and the energy of the songs. And then I drive around with that and get that into my head. Wow, that's a pretty complex process. That's great. Good question. Yeah, it's work. It's not play. It's work. It's a real job, you know, and you have to be really clear about what it is you want to convey and what you don't want to convey. That's really cool. It's cool that you had those little, you know, the English underneath the German and that. Yes, yes. So my next question I'm going to choose. Who's your favorite what's your favorite project that you've been involved in so far? What's your favorite project? Romeo and Juliet. I was involved in that production in Seattle, and it was amazing. We had a wonderful director who was just very much involved in the production, and I loved Jack. You know, in the Beanstalk, he was in the play in the woods. That was my favorite role, was playing Jack of Jack and the Beanstalk in the woods. My favorite production was Romeo and Juliet. I believe I have a picture. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick for you. There I am. Yeah, that was one of my favorites. Yes, it's a cow. Yes, it's a cow. Yes, that's cool. So sorry, I was trying to figure out how to best grab these questions. People have a lot of questions. And maybe I'm not seeing their hands come up, but we have 48 people here in our Zoom meeting already. Wow. So have you ever made a mistake on stage? And if so, you know, what did you do when the spotlight was on you? So yes, that happens. One time I was involved in a play called Our Town. And I played, I was supposed to do just a bit where I showed up and came off stage. And during the break, I was just changing my clothes. All the people who could hear had left. And I looked around, and I was supposed to be off stage. And I was just like, oh my God, I missed it. I missed my cue. And I just sat on the side, you know, where they had the metal folding chairs. I just took a folding chair, I opened it up, I just sat and I waited until the next point when I was supposed to be on stage, when a bunch of people came on and off again. So, oh, I was so mad at myself. But, oh well, you know, the show must go on, right? Wow. Okay, next question. What is a show that you would love to be involved in? What role would you want to take? When I get to be 50 years old, maybe, I would love to be Mama Rose in Gypsy, the musical Gypsy. You know, that's an amazing story. It's about a mother who wants her two children to be famous, and she forces them to be famous. She doesn't want to. And I think that would be so awesome to play as a deaf gay man that I would make an amazing Mama Rose. So, and we would be able to have it from slightly a little bit different perspective. Oh, that's cool. So next question from the chat I see. It says, you are obviously have a lot of skills, and during COVID, you did The Hunchback of Notre Dame, that music. And this questioner says they saw the YouTube performance of the song called Out There with E.J. Cardona. So I'm trying to see the rest of the question. Anyway, it looks like it was just kind of more of a comment. They said that they really enjoyed that performance and that it, you know, it impressed them. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'd love you to meet my friend Quasi. You see him? This is my friend Quasi back here. Yeah. He's somewhere, you know, he's always, somebody on the set knitted him for me while I was playing. Like, he's got his one eye and his hair and his crooked legs, and he's a little bougie with his butt. So my name is Quasimodo. That's the name sign we made for him. Oh, that's so cute. So a fan made that for you? It was actually someone in the production, in the ASL cast. They knitted that and gave it to me after. It was pretty amazing. So let's see. I see our ASL president and vice president's hands are up. Looks like they would like to ask a question. So what's your favorite part about being an actor?
Your favorite part about like that show?
For that role?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that role was a really tough one for me to play. It was extremely dark. I cried a lot. You know, Quasimodo is a pretty depressing character. And, you know, I had to cry every day for that character. But I thought, you know, my favorite part of it was the company, how we all came together to support each other and help each other through that journey. You have to, you know, you have to be positive, and it's really tough when, you know, people are critical every single night. And that's the part of the story, and that's what you have to do in the play. You know, that was really difficult emotionally. So it was good to see that, you know, there is good in the world though. And so that part was good. It's not all bad. All right. Another question we have. How old were you when you realized you wanted to become an actor? And also, does your identity as deaf and gay, how does that influence your identity as an actor as well? Who told you I was gay? How did you know? I'm shocked. Oh, I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I'm leaving now. No. I realized, I want to say when I was about 6 or 7 years old, because I would use the shower curtain. I do this like big, dramatic reveal every time I came out of the shower. My mother would always be like, come on, save that for acting class. And then I realized, well, if that's where that happens, that's where I want to be. And then I was about 8, probably. Well, really, it was more like I was in kindergarten because I had a really good friend, Zach. And the two of us would go to the high school where they had musicals, and we would sit and watch the high school musicals, where we would be at, we would see each other, all the kids there. And, like, especially the ones where, you had these dramatic, like romantic kiss moments, and the two of us would turn and we'd want to do this dramatic kiss moment too. So I just knew from then on that that was part of my identity. So my deaf identity, because I was always in public schools, I really didn't develop a strong deaf identity until I went to Gallaudet. And then when I went to Gallaudet and everybody was signing and there was so much empowerment and access to interpreters and an attitude of, you can do anything and a feeling of equality, that's when I became really involved and developed my deaf identity. And, and now I feel like everybody has their own journey to find their own identity, and each one of us has to figure out how we can overcome oppression in our journeys and develop who we are. So I hope that each one of you are successful sharing your journey as well. All right, so next question. So as an actor, you have met many people, probably lots of other famous people. Is there anyone in particular, a famous actor or someone that you want to meet? I want to meet Lady Gaga. She is crazy. She is crazy. I just saw her for, the House of Gucci. I saw her in that show, and I wrote a letter to myself that said, you don't need to worry anymore. You just need to be your own person and be who you are. And I saw her and I was so interested in her and her story. Oh, she's crazy. All right, next question. It says, many young actors of differing abilities, disabilities, size, race, they feel like they need to make their own opportunities. Let's see, I'm trying to read this. Okay, yes. In order to find a way to perform after graduating high school, because they don't expect to be actually getting any work. So let me see. Okay, so have you had to make your own opportunities? And do you have any advice for us about how to be successful? So that question has already includes the answer right there. Yeah, you just have to make your own unique opportunities. That's the key. You have to make it yourself. You have to be yourself. Everybody doesn't want to hear the same stories over and over again. They want to hear new stories, new perspectives, something different. When I went to Gallaudet for Spring Awakening, that was the Deaf West company. You know, they were looking for somebody who was kind of people who would be traditionally cast in those roles. And yet, when they cast me, I was able to bring in my own culture, my deaf identity, my gay identity, and bring that into that play that hadn't been there before. Not meaning that I'm trying to, you know, hide the other identity of that role, but by the fact of I can bring my identity, my roles, my perspective to that character, and we can start to feel some commonality. We can look at scripts and we can think, what can I do? What is it that I notice? What can I do to make this character stronger? How can I make this character stand out? And, you know, to be different. Lots of people are asking me a lot more, especially after Hunchback, people were asking me all about what kind of roles did I want to do. And I read this script and said, this is the one I wanted to do. Like, for example, Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think most of you already know that. You know, I thought I was thinking I could do a deaf Frank and have 2 voice actors on stage for me. And then, you know, the whole issue, we added another layer about like with the people who were signing for me, doing some plays on, I don't want to voice for you anymore. I just want to kill you. So that added another layer there. So when you have challenges, you need to teach other people how those challenges can be opportunities. And, you know, it's not your fault. It's not your problem, but it is your opportunity to teach them and advise them. Wow, that's great. That's great advice. Thank you. Let's see. Next question. Who are you most excited or enjoy working with in the industry? Actors, directors, who would you be most excited to work with? Well, it's hard. I like so many people. There's so many. Can I skip that one? I get back to that one. I have to think for a little while. I'll get back to that one. That's fine. I think we pretty much caught up with a lot of the questions that are in the chat. Let's see, and I am so sorry if I haven't seen you raise your hands, but let me try to look out on our class members. Oh, here we go. Yes, hi. Was there, when you started acting, and were there any specific characters or roles that you refused to take? You know, that's a hard question, because I think that all roles, you know, can be good with better writing. Sometimes you just want to take on a role that's written badly so that it can be improved. And so I can't think of any right now. I will not play Alexander Hamilton. I would not ever take that role on. Lots of people say that I should, but there's no way. That role is not for me. That is not my place. Now, I don't mind interpreting those songs and performing those songs, but I would not take on that role. I also would never take on In Once on This Island. And the interpreter's not familiar with that show, but I would not take upon myself that role. What do you think about Prim? What do you think? What roles would you not take, Prim? I like big characters. You know, I like flashy characters. Yeah, those are fun. I would say if you play a mean character, you should try playing it nice and then have them be mean at the very end. That would be interesting. Just a suggestion. Okay, so that is a good question. I was reminded, Marlee Matlin years ago, in the 1986, someone asked her if she would be willing to do, for example, a nude scene, for Children of a Lesser God. And she said, I am an actor, so, perhaps. But, she's involved with that profession. You have to learn different perspectives. And sometimes the best people to play a mean character are people who are very nice. Because people who are mean sometimes can be a little over the top. So, like Prim, you got to think, if someone's nice like you, how can you play someone mean? You got to think about that, analyze it. All right, next question out of the chat. What are some of the things that are frustrating for you, for example, when you're rehearsing a show? Okay, two main things. First of all, underqualified people. That's just one of the things that drives me crazy. Or people who kind of give you this I know everything attitude, but they don't. It's like, okay, you think you know, but you don't, so just stop. And then, people who want to come up to you and say, oh, I'm so sorry for all the oppression that I've given, I'm so sorry, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, let's not dwell on that forever. Let's just move on. We accept it and we move on. This world is not about you and your personal journey through being an oppressor. Every project usually starts with me telling everybody for the first hour, come and ask me anything you want. I will not be offended. Ask me anything you want. I am open. And, a lot of people are uncomfortable coming up and asking you really intense questions. But after a little while, they get really excited. Oh, is your family deaf? Oh, your siblings deaf? Oh, can deaf people have sex? Yeah. So people get, they don't know. So they ask. Wow, that's true. So I was just thinking, like for me personally, I can hear, but my wife is deaf. So we get the same types of situations all the time. People are always coming up and asking me questions. All right, where's the next question? Okay, it says, okay, do you have any future projects that you're currently working on or looking forward to? Well, right now, my next project that I'm working on is Sesame Street, the Muppets. I'm working on developing perhaps a deaf Muppet who signs. We're talking about that. And then, maybe doing The Little Mermaid. I would love to direct The Little Mermaid with a company of hearing actors who would know sign. It's like I take your voice, what's the point? If you're a deaf person and you have a deaf Ariel and Ursula says, I'm taking your voice, Ariel says, go right ahead, I'm deaf, right? So we have to change that. There'd be no point in having a deaf Ariel. I'm also working on a movie called Mr. Holland's Opus. I'm assuming most of you have heard of that before or seen it. Really? Some of you haven't? Oh, well, goodbye then. We can't be friends. We can't be friends anymore. Goodbye. No, it's a pretty old movie from, I think, the 90s. And it's about a man who's a music teacher who has a son who's deaf. Her son is born deaf. And, you know, he in his life, he tends to just get very much involved in his music and teaching his music students and not involving his deaf son in his life. And so I have a few projects involving around that story as well. So those are my main ones right now. Well, that sounds cool. Let's see, next question. So do you prefer silly plays or serious shows? Which one would you rather do? That's kind of a funny question because in high school, I was a very serious actor. All I wanted to do was the hardcore roles. You know, I wanted to get my degree and show that I was a serious actor, that I wasn't a kid, especially because the kids who could hear at school bullied me a lot and frequently told me that I couldn't do a lot of things. So from my senior year, I was voted worst dramatic actor for my senior year. You know, every play that I did was a dramatic play. And of course, when they did that to me, it was pretty heartbreaking. I cried. I mean, I wanted to be fun. I wanted to be serious, silly, but I figured being serious was, you know, showed that I was really intense. But now I love to be silly. And my classes, I try to act all silly and playful, and the other students are not. So it's funny that how that's reversed. Oh, that is funny. So let's see, next question. Okay, do you have a tendency to use more pigeon signed English word order to follow the English grammar in an English song, or do you convert all the lyrics into ASL grammar? I tend to be a little bit more pigeon signed English. I use ASL concepts and ASL word structure, but pigeon signed English word orders, because sometimes deaf people really want to know the words, you know, and sometimes I want to just see the poetry of the lyrics. So I try to give them a little bit of a happy medium, you know. So like I would not sign selfish, you know, or butterfly as butter and fly. So I do conceptually accurate ASL signs. All right, next question. So when you work with people who can hear, does that incite a lot of curiosity about ASL and learning the language? People want to learn. Yeah, it's rare to meet somebody who doesn't want to learn or says they don't want to take the time. But I would say only 2 or 3 people really follow through on it and become fluent. The rest of people tend to just pick up maybe finger spelling or gesturing, and that's fine. But I would ask for people who can't find the time to learn actual finger spelling to at least become familiar with some gestures. I would rather have gestures than nothing. You know, like I'm not going to criticize your gestures as long as we're getting meaning across, and that's the goal. Okay, I'm looking and I think we're caught up again on our chat questions. So if we have anybody who wants to add another chat question or raise their hand. Here we go. Hi, yes, this is Elle. Thank you. You have deaf family and friends growing up. No, none of my family members were deaf. Oh, hold on. Here we go. So I did not have any family members who were deaf. I have lots of deaf friends though, probably 30 or so at my school, and we all hung out to each other. So what about you? Do you have any deaf family or deaf friends? No? I'm just learning. That's fine. Now you have one deaf friend. Hi, I'm your deaf friend. We can be friends. Nice to meet you, Elle. Thank you. All right, and so looks like again we're caught up with the chat. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. Says, can you talk about the audition process? How do you sign audition? Oh, okay, I see. That makes sense. Audition. Can you explain a little about the audition process, how that works? Well, that's a big question. That's a big one. You know, it kind of depends on each project. Different projects have different processes. Now I have a tendency to just, you know, make my own audition videos. I put together my own backgrounds and things like that. And I make myself a little film. A lot of film projects will send you what they call slides that are little snippets of what they want the film to involve, and you're supposed to memorize those and perform them. With a stage play, then you frequently will be given brief portions of the script or the score, or they'll give you 3 songs and you pick which song you want to audition with. As a deaf actor, I feel like I have not only the regular challenges of an audition, but also the additional challenges of convincing people that I can do it. For example, being able to add captioning to my videos. And, you know, because people don't understand, sometimes the captioning is quite a bit far behind my signing. Or like, am I going to voice over? Because I can speak, and my friends, but for my friends who are deaf, they can't speak. So I don't want to just limit directors to think that they only want to choose deaf people who can speak. You know, I want to make sure that that's included in their thoughts. Sometimes I'll send them a little memo that says, yes, I can speak for portions of this role. Sometimes I send a cover letter just explaining why I think this role would be good for a deaf actor, and you know, what it is that I want to bring to this role and how I want it to, you know, open it up. So, you know, and that's not a dumb question. There are no dumb questions, you know. I think it's great. But it tends to take up a lot of time, but it's worth it to get work. You know, most of my jobs nowadays come from networking, talking to people I already know, people that I've performed for and have seen me perform. You know, that satisfaction video, I got a lot of leads out of that, a lot of job offers, which I very much appreciated. So that was great. Wow. So now we've got more questions coming up. Okay. So now with the success of the movie Coda, oh yeah, everybody knows about that. So do you feel like you would want to do more TV or movie acting instead of stage? No. Okay, here's a fun fact. It was Gallaudet versus me for that movie. Oh, I auditioned for that, and then I went on vacation in the Virgin Islands, where I met my partner, and then the next morning I was supposed to go for the second round of auditions for Coda. And so I grabbed the script and was reading it, and I loved the script. Oh my God, I loved it so much. And I met with Sean and spoke with him, and you know, he wanted to see me. So I went to I filmed myself oh god, like in front of the palm trees, and send him off the audition. And I did not get it. Instead, Scott got it, and that was great. That was great. It was wonderful. That movie was amazing. It just and I don't have anything against it. It's just my work has kind of tended more towards theater. I'm not going to tell you, I hate him. I hate everybody in Coda. Damn them all. They didn't choose me. No, of course not. Okay, next question. Okay, when you are translating songs, do you work with other deaf or hard of hearing people to get their perspectives on your translation? Or do you mostly just figure it out yourself? Well, like, for example, the song Satisfied, I did that myself. And I did work with Jules. This is his name sign. She's a deaf actress. You've probably seen her on YouTube. She's amazing. She's an amazing director. And I just love working with her. Jules Damian. No, Darion. Sorry, the interpreter's not saying that very well. And so she gave me some great feedback on that piece. I do tend to make my own translations. And then sometimes I'll go to like a party or something and say, hey, do you want to see what I've been working on? And then we'll watch it and we'll start to critique it and give feedback to each other at that point. So I do end up working together with people eventually. Okay, sometimes wondering if like the characters or the lighting or the costuming for characters cause problems with your signing, being able to be seen or being able to produce the signs. That's a really good question. For example, when I was doing the Hunchback role, I had these 10-pound weights on my arms plus 15-pound weights on my leg. And they were designed to make me walk so that I was all hunched over and like I had, all that body weight on me. And I have to say that normally it's really rare that it interferes with my work, but that particular role was hard. Like, for example, the role of Fidelio, there were chains, these heavy chains that we wore, and it was hard to sign in them. But that's one of the reasons why, I feel like we need to have those realistic chains on there because they're telling the real story. And you can see how the chains drag down the signing, how they drag down the character. So like for me, I would bring rope or other types of things to just play around with and to see how they would affect my signing. And so you as an artist can do that too. That's your decision to do that. That's really interesting. Let's see. The next question is, can you talk a little bit about the Hypernovas Productions? Can you explain a little bit about that project? Yeah, this is the way I sign it. It's like transition. It's like a transition and adding that kind of like amazed. So Hypernovas, yes. Yes, Jules is involved in that project as well. The two of us were working together to set this company, Hypernovas, because we thought about for such a long time, a hypernova happens when two stars come together and they both explode. So we thought the two of us coming together, we could really create that synergistic explosion and come together with a lot of creativity. And the point of the company is that we have ideas we want to see happening, and nobody in the business is making them happen. So we are going to make them happen ourselves. We're partnering with some hearing companies on the project, some deaf-friendly companies. Want to talk about deaf artists, deaf out loud, and just making them more visible. Maybe we get money to make projects that we wish we could have. Like we have a project about the girl named Mason, who was a transgender deaf girl whose father really oppressed her. So we want to talk about how the transgender community can be involved. And we've got lots of projects that we wish we could do, and Hypernovas is just the way that we made a company so that we can get our ideas out there, so we can have deaf people involved, and so that we can have accessibility. And that's the concept behind Hypernovas. That's really cool. Well, we're starting to run out of time. Oh no. But I don't actually see any hands up. So I think, unless our president has something, I'm going to go ahead and close. Let's see, am I doing your name sign right? I'll let Josh. Why don't you, I'll turn the last few minutes of time over to you, and you can make any last remarks that you'd like to make. Well, first thing I want to say is thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to tell my story. I appreciate that. I appreciate your energy. I love seeing the excitement of you. Love seeing your cat. And, life isn't always easy. There are lots of things that happen in our lives that make each one of us an individual, and we should celebrate that individuality while coming together to work together and be united and to become the light in the dark. And, here we are in Zoom, and yeah, we're all in different spots, but we're still in one place together, which is pretty amazing. That would have never happened a couple years ago. So it doesn't matter, everything going on with politics and COVID and whatever else, just remember that we are still connected. Our stories are still important. So I just want to thank you so much for being willing to connect with me, and that you were willing to allow me on your screen. And I'm hoping that I'll see you on my screen soon. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I think we're going to go ahead and close. I do want to thank our interpreter for helping with this communication. Thank you. Thank you. And now I'm going to transition to the gallery view, and so that we can all give out a big wave of thanks. So everybody do your thank yous. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, I just really quick wanted to say, sorry, thank you. I just really wanted to say it was so nice to meet you, and I've really admired you for a long time, and I've used some of your videos of you signing to teach how to interpret songs, and I see Kat and some of the people here today that helped me with some of those projects. And yeah, we're just we're so excited that you were able to come and talk with us. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and yeah, just know that we're all so excited for any of your future projects. We'll be supporting from here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yep. Love. Give out some love here. Lots of love. Thanks. Bye.